Hello everyone, my name is Laura, this is my channel Laura's Little Library, and welcome to today's video, which is my winter season TBR. So I don't make monthly TBRs or TBRs really all that regularly just because I am such a mood reader that I cannot force myself to read something that I am not in the mood for, that I don't feel like reading. And a lot of times the books I put on TBRs aren't always books that I own, and so it all depends on the hold from the library, if I can get them to actually read them. Or if I want to spend my book budget on buying them every month without having read them first. So I do seasonal TBRs, just something to read over the next 3-ish months, because it is the winter TBR that always gets a little bit fuzzy because I will do holiday reads all through December, and then when it hits January, then I kind of switch to more just general winter mode. So these are really the books that I would like to read in January and February, because then March I kind of head into spring a little bit more. So it is definitely a shorter time, but that does not mean it is a smaller TBR, and so because of that, I'm definitely not going to read all of these books. I will be lucky if I read half of them. But I still want to put them on the TBR just to let you know what I'm going to try and read and just have some fun. So, first thing to note though is I did not read all the holiday reads that I wanted to this year. One of them I am still currently reading, and that is Make the Season Bright, and this is by Ashley Herring Blake. I do want to at least finish this one just because it is a winter holiday book. Even though the holidays are over and that's really sad, I do want to at least finish this. And then there were two other holiday books that I have that I didn't get to. One being The Christmas Crush, which I bought this year, so I'm not super pressed to read it this year because I can just read it next year. And then The Mom-Com. Oh, and I'm so sorry. This is by Noelle Douglas, and this is by Adriana Mather. I got this like 2 years ago. I was going to read it last year and I didn't, and then I was going to read it this year and I didn't. So this might still kind of loosely be on the TBR. If I finish Make the Season Bright and I'm still in a holiday reads mood, then I'll pick this up just because I do actually want to read this, but I'm not going to pressure myself into the holiday reads because that is over and I can always save them for next year. And then I have 3 books that I don't own. That's the other thing. This TBR is actually pretty nice because there are only 3 books that I don't own on this list, so it's all library dependent, but we'll see if I can get to them. And so the first one is Girls Made of Snow and Glass, and this is by Melissa Bechardust. And Melissa Bechardust wrote Girl Serpent Thorn, which I really enjoyed Girl Serpent Thorn, so I should definitely read this author's other book, which is much more winter themed. I mean, the cover is very wintry to me, and even just the story, it kind of is, I don't know if it's officially a Snow White retelling, but it kind of gives me that vibe because we are following 2 main characters. One of them is Mina, and she doesn't actually have a beating heart. Her father cut out her heart and then replaced it with a glass heart. So she doesn't feel love for anyone, but her goal is to woo the king, make the king marry her, and maybe she'll know what love is. Maybe she'll figure out what she wants in life if she's married to the king. And then the other character that we follow is Lynette, and she is actually the king's daughter from his first marriage. And she was actually created out of snow by a magician to look exactly like her mother because that is what her father, the king, requested. As she gets older, she is gifted like the southern territories by the king, and this ruins Mina's plan. And so now the 2 are enemies and they are rivals. They no longer get along. It is that stepmother, stepdaughter relationship that you see in a lot of the like really old fairy tales like Snow White. So you see why I think it's a Snow White retelling. So I'm interested in this one because I like the author and I like fairy tales, and it's just so wintry. So hopefully I can get to that one. Then I also have The Witch Collector, and this is by Carissa Weeks. The cover looks extremely wintry. The idea with this is that there is collection day, and that is when the Frost King sends someone to collect a witch or a girl on a specific day. And so Frost King, I assume that means the setting is going to be very wintry. And our main character who we follow, her sister was actually taken on one of these collection days. And while she is no longer eligible, she wants to exact her revenge. And so she has to team up with the one person she really doesn't want to, and that is the witch collector, the person who goes and like stole her sister. So she has to team up with this person whom she hates in order to get to the Frost King to find out what happened to her sister, get her sister back, and whatnot. So I'm excited for this. I love a good classic, like I know he's the Frost King, but it gives very like Fae vibes, because there's another book that is like a very autumnal series where it's kind of the same thing actually. Like somebody is stolen by the Autumn King, the Fae King, and then the sister goes and tries to get her back, and I really enjoyed that book. So I'm hoping this will be kind of like the same amount of enjoyment but much more winter themed. So The Witch Collector, hopefully I'll get to that one too. And then the last book that I don't own is actually a very wintry thriller, and this is Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. So this follows our main character who was part of this 8-person tour group in the Rocky Mountains or something, and so the storm and the weather gets so bad that they have to seek refuge in this little cabin. However, the tour guide goes missing and is turned up dead the next day, and they are all isolated. It's only the 8 of them, nobody else is there, so one of them is definitely a murderer, and they are not done with the tour guide. So I love winter thrillers. Like very much the isolation winter thrillers are some of my favorite thrillers of all time. So I definitely always have to read at least one every year. So hopefully I'll get to this one as my winter thriller. There are also a couple of historical fiction. I have a huge historical fiction TBR, and historical fiction is another genre that I just gravitate towards more in winter, like thrillers. Just because a lot of them tend to be very cold, or especially World War II and then during the winter of World War II. So there are definitely some historical fiction like The Diamond Eye that I really want to get to, by Kate Hunter, I think. If I feel like I'm in the historical fiction mood, I'll pick one of those up, but I don't really foresee that happening for myself, at least not in January. Maybe in February when we get to like almost Valentine's Day but still winter, I can pick up some of these more historical fiction ones. Who knows? We'll see. But I'm just kind of throwing that out there before I get to all the books that I actually do own that I want to read in winter. And the first of those being An Academy for Liars, and this is by Alexis Henderson, and this is a dark academia. We follow our main character who gets an invitation to join this suspicious university, I think in like Georgia or something? Yes. Savannah, Georgia. So our main character, her life is kind of falling apart, and then she receives this like letter or call to apply for this magical university hidden in Savannah, Georgia. So I'm a big sucker for dark academia, and I've been wanting to read this for a long time, pretty much since I heard about it. So this has been on my TBR for like spooky season, dark academia, and now is on my winter TBR because hopefully I will get to this soon. And then a little outside of what I read is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. This is by Robin Sloan. This was gifted to me by my mother-in-law because she loves doing the tradition on like the 23rd or the 24th of gifting all of us a book that she thinks we will like. So she did that on the 23rd. It's the intention of reading it on the 24th leading into Christmas, but the 24th is actually my dad's birthday, so I don't always have time to read it before Christmas, but I do want to read it this winter, and I have the audiobook version for it as well. But we are following our main character who takes a job at Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, and he notices a lot of people going in and out, and like, are they leaving messages? Is there communication? Like, he gets suspicious of what they're doing, and he wants to find out what's going on. So it's a good literary fiction. Again, I don't really read literary fiction, so I'm really just kind of reading this for my mother-in-law, but I'm intrigued because it's a bookstore setting. So going back to a kind of fantasy thriller-esque category, we have The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. Erin A. Craig, I have loved the other books kind of in this realm that the author has put out. House of Salt and Sorrow and Small Favors, like those were great books. So this one just came out, it's the newest one, and I'm really excited. Look at that cover. Look at that cover. We follow the 13th child from that series, and she was like supposed to die, but instead the god of death gives her the gift of being an amazing healer. She can look at someone and know exactly what they need in order to be cured, or know if, like, no, they are marked for death. Death is going to come and take them, and there's not much that she can do about it. And so she really doesn't actually like this, because she feels haunted by the lives that she probably could have saved, or feels like she could have saved, when reality is she probably could not have. But then she comes across this prince, and she sees that he's like marked for dead, and she's like, no, I am gonna save this one, maybe. So we follow that story. Again, I just really loved Erin A. Craig's other books with this family, so this being the newest one, I definitely need to read this as soon as possible. Next up is, I don't know, it's not wintry per se, but it is like a fantasy, and I just really want to read it. I feel in the mood to read it, and that is Fathom Folk, and this is by Eliza Chen. And I think this is the first in a series, and it follows kind of like this city that's half underwater. The humans live up top, and they kind of live more the life of luxury, and you know, they're fine, versus all the sea creatures like the sirens and the merfolk and things like that all live in these gross polluted waters because the humans are jerks, of course. So we're following this like semi-siren, she's half siren? Yeah, half siren Mira, who she's promoted to the captain of the border, and so she sees this as an opportunity to help her downtrodden people in the polluted waters, but then she also has to communicate with the humans who are like living life as they want to. Why would they want to change anything? And then there's a princess who gets exiled to the city, and there is a festival that happens, but it gets sabotaged. So it sounds like there's a lot going on, but it also sounds really good. I think there are like even water dragons in this. So again, it's not very wintry, but I want to read this. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to read this for the mythology, kind of just fantasy elements of it, so I'm excited. The last two are also not particularly wintry. They're just books that I want to read in winter, or at least I want to read soon, so I'm putting them on this TBR because it is the upcoming TBR, so much like Fathom Folk. But these books are Apprentice to the Villain. This is by Hannah Nicole Mayer, and this is the second book after Assistant to the Villain. I love this series. I have followed her TikTok for forever, so I was really excited when these books coming out, and so I cannot believe I haven't read this one yet. It's been out for a while now, so I'm putting it on this TBR because I really want to read this. And then the final book that I really want to read, I actually started and then the audiobook expired, but I have the audiobook again. So that book is Throne of Secrets by Carrie Maniscalco. Of course, it's not like a wintry book, it's just one that I want to read very soon and I can read, but the cover is like that perfect wintry blue, and it's got the little white sparkles in the background, which I know is not snow, but it just gives me that vibe. Even though that's not the book, it gives me the vibe. So I definitely also really, really, really want to read this in the next couple of months. This is a huge TBR list. Like, there is no way I'm going to get to all of these books, but I'm sure going to try my darndest. I'm going to try to read as many of these books as I can. I will also be doing another reading vlog alongside this, so hopefully I will get those books done as well. So I got a lot going on and school starts up, but we're just gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun with it. So thank you all very much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what are some of the books you want to get to this winter season. I also have bookish social media linked down below, like my Bookstagram and my Goodreads, so you can keep up with me and what I'm reading there and what I think of them. But if you like bookish content like this, be sure to hit subscribe. I am making videos and posting them every week, so hit the bell to be notified when those go up. And yeah, again, thank you all very much for watching, and until I see you in the next video, I wish you happy reading!